all of classical economics was about the labor theory of value and the price theory, the rent theory of pricing. The ideal of classical economics was to bring prices down to the actual cost of production by financing the government budget by essentially taxing economic rent. And the ideal from John Stuart Mill through Henry George, through Thorstein Veblen, and the entire progressive era in the United States was to base the tax system on economic rent, on income earned without any enterprise, without any cost of production, to get the excess of rental value over and above the actual cost of providing housing and office buildings, to tax monopoly rent, to tax the broadcasting spectrum, to tax mining, to tax everything, all the income that really was created as an excess charge, as a toll booth to what was provided by nature. So if the American tax system for the last, say, 20 years, even 50 years, had been based on taxing property like it used to be, then property prices wouldn't have gone up. You would have had a low price. If you would have taxed the entire rental value of property, the value of land is distinct from the value of buildings, then you would have the government tax system keeping down the price of property to its actual value, and you wouldn't have had to tax labor through an income tax. You wouldn't have had to have sales tax. You wouldn't have had to have a Social Security and health care tax. The rental value, economic rent, that is income without a cost of production, absorbs about 35% of the American economy. And yet you no longer have the national income statistics making that clear. They conflate rent with earnings and profit. And so if you look in the national income and product accounts under the real estate sector and the FIRE sector, finance, insurance, and real estate, you have their rental income counted simply as earnings. And you have to look at the, you can disaggregate these earnings into profits on building and the rent from the land simply by going to the Federal Reserve's flow of funds accounts and making a distinction between the value of property of land and the value of buildings, and you find land represents over half of the actual value of property. So if the tax system, the income tax system, had fallen on this economic rent and the returns to the FIRE sector, finance, insurance, and real estate, then you wouldn't have to tax labor at all. You would have the lowest priced labor in the world.